Hey, good morning, everybody. Oops, I left that on the screen. Let me take that off and we will revisit that. If you have any questions, please ask them on the side. Hey, Matt, can you tell me what the algorithms are saying about Snapchat? Can you tell me what they're saying about Pinterest going into earnings, which happened yesterday? So let's talk about some stories that came out. Then we'll talk about the market. I'll tell you about the SPY ranges. But what caught my eye yesterday, first and foremost, was the volume on the SPY. The volume on the SPY was so freaking low. It was half of what was happening on Friday. Let's remember on Thursday, a ton of short covering. So that is why the market was pumping on Thursday. Me, am I a bull or a bear right now? I'd say I'm leaning more bearish, and I'll explain why. But I haven't made a decision as far as how I'm going to trade today. I'm going to look at the same two positions that I mentioned yesterday. Remember, I was bullish AMC. Why? Because the short interest to cover was over 412%, meaning if you needed to borrow shares to buy back your shares, the short interest on AMC was over 400%. So, yeah, did I expect a spike yesterday? Kind of. Did I expect Intel to drop even though NVIDIA and AMD were kind of holding their own? Yeah, and I explained why, because I don't think Intel is maybe the fifth best chip maker, maybe the sixth best chip maker. They had earnings, their forecasting sucked. So that's part of my strategy. All right, but let's go into the news overnight. What did I see? Well, a local company to Miami, Blink Charging, is doing another public offering, 8.3 million shares at $12 a share. Where should that push Blink? Well, it should push them probably to $12, if not under that. So I know they're off 7% this morning, but they're still trading around $12.80 pre-market. So yeah, I think Blink is going to take a hit today. What else? Oil giant. BP, British Petroleum, right? $28 billion. They announced a $2.75 billion share buyback and a 10% dividend hike. So yeah, oil companies are still crushing it. Now, what could hurt oil companies is the U.S. government talking about this additional tax on their profits. They're saying that everybody's struggling with higher gas prices, yet these oil companies are ripping higher with crazy all-time earnings. Okay, this is pretty important because we know as interest rates go up, it costs companies, publicly traded companies, more money to refinance their debt. $11 trillion is domestically corporate debt, domestic, $11 trillion worldwide overseas. So altogether, you're talking about $22 trillion. So as interest rates go up, earnings will go down to those companies that have debt. If you're invested in a public company and they do not have debt, that would be more bullish than bearish. If you're invested in a public company and they have a shitload of debt, understanding as rates go up, it's going to hurt their earnings. So if you know debt-laden companies, yeah, I'd be looking to short them, especially if the forecasting and guidance is on the lower end. So Fed Chair Bostic out of Atlanta says 50 basis points isn't off the table for next month. Well, shit, everybody has 25 basis points figured in for next month, 25 basis points 2 months later. And then they're talking about quarter three, quarter four. There could be one more rate increase or possibly even a cut before the end of the year. That's what Wall Street has figured out. So if they go 50 basis points, guess what they're saying to Wall Street? They're giving them the finger and the market would go down. So pay close attention to what these Fed speakers are saying. They're not talking out of their ass. They're basically giving you a forecast or a foreshadowing of what is to come. If they mention 50 basis points as an option, that's the first time you heard about that. Yes, I would be wary if I was long on the market. Jim Cramer, how many more days do we have to endure this AI nonsense? Does Jim Cramer not understand what artificial intelligence does and what it's used for and the purpose? Because his comments seem so naive. China finally had a positive day of like 1% on the Hang Seng after it lost about 3.5% the previous day. So again, Chinese markets, I'd be careful. Baidu, right? Baidu, what is it? Baidu, BIDU, up. Let's remember the other day, Baidu was at 150 something, and I said it would be back down around 135 to 138 would be a better time to buy. Well, it hit $138 yesterday. Then they announced that they too are getting involved with AI. With that said, Baidu is probably up 10, 12% pre-market. So if you were able to catch that dip, remember I said I liked Baidu, but I wouldn't pay $156. I'd pay somewhere between $135 and $140. Well, shit, that is where it went yesterday, and it's spiking this morning. Would I follow or jump into Baidu today? No, because we don't chase. Good, sound investors don't chase. They come up with a strategy and they wait on their entry. They wait, especially if you're trading 0 days till expiration options or SPY or SPX. You need to wait on the best entry. Just makes more sense. And I'm going to talk about that in a couple of minutes as far as the SPY ranges today, what I'm looking for. Again, volume yesterday was so freaking light. It was like 50 million. We see double that every other day. So again, there's telling me that's a lot of money on the sidelines still. Pinterest came out. They came in line with expectations. They mentioned a $500 million stock buyback. The stock was down 10% when they reported earnings. Now it's close to flat. Maybe it's down 2% this morning. Understand this about manipulation. Elliott Management has a stake in Pinterest. Elliott Management is a large trading hedge fund. And what they do is they manipulate the market. So the fact that they have a large interest in Pinterest, in my mind, kind of missed because they didn't crush expectations. If you crush, you go higher. If you come in line or you miss, you go down. That's just how it is these days in the market because the market is so frothy. So you have Elliott Management. Earnings weren't that great. Conference call wasn't that great. What would I do if I was Elliott Management and I had a huge stake in Pinterest? Well, I would try and keep the stock floating as high as possible. The fact that it was down 10% after hours, it doesn't take more than a few 100,000 shares for them to inflate the price and make it only down 2%. So again, I'm watching Pinterest. Wouldn't surprise me if it falls and goes down closer to double digits today. Or if Elliott Management buys it up and they're like, holy shit, the report wasn't so great, but everybody's buying Pinterest still and they're buying Snap and they're buying Meta. Let me go in and support the price there. Got the AMC Intel. All right. Yeah. So rate hikes. Here's what the market has factored in. And how do I know this? I go to the Fed swaps rate. When I go to the Fed swaps rate, it tells me what the Fed is likely to do as far as interest rate hikes in the upcoming months. So right now there's a 97% chance they go 25 basis points in March, okay, which is next month. They do not meet in April, so then you're talking about May. Another 25 basis points in May, 72% chance right now. So if they go 50 basis points next month, that will probably eliminate the May hike. It's like pulling off a Band-Aid. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm going to talk about some individual stocks, and then we'll get into the SPY ranges for today. Again, if you have any questions, please ask them on the side or make a comment. So top of my watch list, what do I've got? Blink Charging. Why? Because they did an offering. I already think Blink is somewhat crooked. Those of you who have been with me over a year watching my YouTubes, I used to speak about 3 guys in a boiler room basement trying to sell their Blink charging stations. Yes, they're more of a real company than they were then. But again, lots of crookedness. In my opinion, I would not trust the CEO, CFO. He's been close to indicted before. They had an airplane or a plane company that got found with like $5 million worth of cocaine on it in Mexico. So yeah, the guy didn't even get prosecuted. All right, so that's Blink. Be cautious. We've got Upstart. Why do I have Upstart? Upstart tends to move in big directions, 10% north, 10% south. So why do I have Upstart? Because it's one of the most heavily shorted companies in the stock market right now. So if the market is or was consolidating, let's say Friday, Monday, and you believe the market's going to push higher and you believe the Qs and tech are going to push higher. Me, I don't think so. But I'm expecting big movements from Upstart. So on a red day, I'm expecting it to drop 7-8%. On a green day, I'm expecting it to go up 10-11%. So that's a great stock to watch. Along with Upstart, you could look at a firm. But again, Upstart is one of the most shorted companies out there. Then I've got Baidu, which mentioned they're going to start trading, start using AI technology. And then you have Bed Bath & Beyond. Now, Bed Bath & Beyond, BBBY, is going to file for bankruptcy. The only thing not saving them from filing for bankruptcy is the fact that they're a meme stock and they got pushed from $1.80 past almost $6 yesterday. So then what do? They make a shelf offering, meaning they're going to try and sell shares to you, the public, at $6 a share, at $5 a share, at $4 a share, anything better than $1. Shit, if they could sell it for $1, I bet they would sell it for $1 because it means they get $1 billion and they wouldn't have to go bankrupt or file for bankruptcy. So I'd be ultra careful. That's down 36% pre-market. It was up 92% yesterday. So you got to be careful. Interesting. Activision Blizzard, right, which got the buyout offer from Microsoft, and then it got negged by the SEC or the Federal Trade Commission. With that said, they reported earnings wasn't so great. They're up 3.5% this morning. So again, the buy the dip might be true for Activision being ATVI. Why? Because there's still a takeover target. So anybody's looking for a dip, knowing that Activision will probably get paid over $75 per share if they're taken private. The fact that they're $71 earnings, right? Pinterest, again, I mentioned Elliott Management, manipulation involved with that stock, was down 10%. Now it's only down less than 1%. The SPY, which was up 0.25% overnight, which was up to 4, almost 11, is now down pre-market. US dollar still spiking. If you want to look at the US dollar, this is the 5-day chart. Keeps going higher. As the US dollar goes higher, interest rates go higher. As the US dollar goes higher, it's more expensive to invest in our markets. Understanding a lot of these accounts are marginalized. So US dollar goes up, markets go down. Interest rates go up. The 2-year, the 10-year. The 10-year was at the highest it's been at in like a few months yesterday. So as interest rates are going up, again, it should put downward pressure on the market. What else I got here? Intel was off 4% yesterday. What's my exit strategy on Intel? Remember, it was close to $30. I'm looking for an exit somewhere between $26 and $27. The fact that it's sitting at $28.69, where it closed at yesterday, at the bottom of the day, because the low in the day was 8 cents lower. It's probably already there this morning. Yep, it's right around yesterday's close, $28.61, $28.65 this morning. I would be looking for Intel, hopefully to drop somewhere between $26 and $27 a share, and that would be my exit plan on Intel. What else we have? Express, again, meme stock. I would rather be involved with AMC. AMC had some decent volume yesterday. If it has the same type of decent volume today, we could see it possibly approach $8 a share. Again, sparked my interest 2 days ago when I told you that the cost to borrow AMC shares, the interest was over 400%. I think it's 412%. Okay. Then I've got AI. Again, AI has been pushing higher. You have C3 AI, which is the company symbols AI. Yes, it's got to consolidate. Again, it went from $13 all the way to $30. In fact, $30.92 yesterday. I sold my calls just under $30. I wish I got above $30. I was caught watching. I was like, oh, shit, $30. Hopefully it keeps going up even higher. And then when I saw it start to sell off a little, I was like, let me get the hell out of here. Instead of touting how cool I am, I should have been selling and taking profit about 5 minutes ago. So yeah, that one could run. I would let that one consolidate first. Apple, again, Apple, I told you the forward PE on Apple right now is 25. It would make more sense if Apple's forward PE was something closer to 20, like Amazon, like Google, or like Meta. So let's say Apple have to drop 5%. If Apple drops 5%, that's about $8 a share. If it's sitting at 151, it would not surprise me if Apple goes down to the 143 range. Now, what would I do if I wanted to look and actually invest in Apple? Well, shit, I would bring up Discord. I would look at the dark pool for Apple. So let's do that right now. I'm talking about it. So I'll type in, let's get the dark pool level, DP levels for Apple. And if you guys ask, I'll look for yours as well. I have no problem doing that. All right, so dark pool level for Apple. You guys can see it with me. What am I looking at? Well, I just mentioned it could potentially lose 8 points or something like that. So 143, I'd be looking at that kind of level for support. So I'm seeing where the larger dark pools are. Okay, 151, mentioned that it had support yesterday. If we break through 151, your next level down is 149, and then a very ghost-like level, only 1.89 billion at 146. So I would look for Apple to possibly bounce at 144. So 144 is the possible downside. So again, if I'm coming up with a complete strategy and I say I want to be puts on Apple, I want to be bearish Apple because the earnings report sucked. Guidance sucked on Apple. Okay, the fact that it shot up 4% the day after earnings, I've got no freaking clue why, because the report sucks. So if I'm saying I'm bearish Apple, and again, I said that at 154, 155, now that it's 151, I still think there's downside room. I want to check where there could possibly be support. So if I'm in Apple puts or I'm thinking about Apple puts, I'm looking for any type of spike. When I see the top, I enter Apple puts. My strategy to exit, similar to Intel, I think Intel could go to $26, $27. I think Apple could go down 8 points to 144. 144, I would expect to see support. So that could be a play right there. I didn't do my SPY levels yet, cool chick. I will get to the SPY levels very shortly. And again, what would we use to see the SPY levels? Well, let's use the dark pool. So let's just go there and let's type it out. Let's do TR, DP levels, and let's look at the SPY. And I'll make them nice and big. Okay, what stands out to everybody, right? 28 billion at 401. Up until 416, every level is pretty small comparatively. Yes, at 404, you saw 16 billion, which is close to half of that 28. But under that, you're looking at under 10 billion, meaning nobody really, oh, you can't see that shit. Let me bring that up. Okay, let's talk about those dark pool levels again, okay? Again, small level, small level, small level, all the way to 416. You see 404 finally where it's 16 billion, but 401 is the real level of 28 billion. So if the market were to drop, I would expect us to find support at 404 and 401. So again, let's talk about the levels as we sit. Yesterday was an inside day on the SPY. What does it mean? Smaller trading range, smaller volume. Volume was half of what it should have been yesterday at 50 million. So assuming we have a decent volume day, we could see a little more movement. So we'll give bull case scenario. Bull case scenario says short covering happened on Thursday, consolidation Friday and Monday. The Fed isn't going to scare anybody today because Wall Street already knows, right? They already know what the Fed's going to say, which to me is complete bullshit. They tell each other, yeah, the Fed's only going to do this. They push the market higher because they control it with 90% of the capital going into the market. All right, let's understand the retail trader, you, me, the other dude, now make up 23% of the market. Okay. With that said, what would make sense? A huge rug pull would make sense to fuck the retail trader. So that just makes sense from the sidelines of the institutions. Yes, you have some companies like Elliott Management, which have to remain bullish. I think they're involved with Hood. I think they're involved with Pins. Everything they get involved with obviously pushes higher. They did Nordstrom's. What would I do? I would have shorted Nordstrom's the other day. I don't follow this stock, but the fact that they took a huge position in Nordstrom's, and Nordstrom is still struggling, similar to other retail plays. Okay, but we'll talk about the SPY. So bull case scenario, yesterday and Friday consolidation, short covering on Thursday, market's going to push higher. Where could it go? Well, I just showed you dark pool levels are pretty freaking small in the SPY all the way to 416. So you're talking about from 409 to 416, you're talking about 1.5% higher. So if Jay Powell comes on and he sounds more dovish or he sounds less aggressive, okay? Like, okay, we're doing a good job. Inflation's coming down. If they start talking about job numbers, let's remember when job numbers came out, they were expecting what? 198,000, 200,000. It came in over 500,000. The job market is extremely strong. Job market strong. Fed not doing their job so great. Fed not doing their job so great. Rates have to go higher. Okay, simple as that. So, okay, we'll talk about the SPY ranges. Bull case scenario, you can see 416, and you can see it pretty quickly, I'd say within 2 days. So the fact that we're Tuesday, you go Tuesday, Wednesday, I think we have some consumer data and job numbers Thursday and Friday. Yeah, I can definitely see the SPY pushing up bull case scenario. Me, I'm more bearish. So I'm looking at the support levels and resistance levels. Okay, right now we're sitting pre-market, probably down just slightly, 409.35. So the next level down on the SPY where you're going to look for support is going to be $407.60. So we're talking about a whole 0.4% lower, meaning the market could definitely struggle this morning within 20 minutes. If it hits that 407.60 level, plus or minus 20 cents, you could look for a quick bounce higher. So if you see us go to 407, then we're back at 409. I'm telling you, that would make me feel bullish on the day. We dropped to 407. We're back at 409. They continue to buy up the dips, they being big money. I would say to myself, okay, the SPY is going to push higher today. If we go to 409, I'm going to look for 412 and then 414. All right, that's my bull case scenario. Bull case scenarios, we drop to 407.60 and we go right up to 414 sometime later this afternoon. That's your bull case scenario. Okay, I'm trying to separate them so you know, because you always have two different strategies. If I see that kind of play out, we bounce off the 407 and I believe there's going to be support, I'm going to look for 414.40 today to get out of my calls. Yeah, I'll flop sides. I'll get into some calls if I see what I need to. Bear case scenario. Okay, see me smiling. Bear case scenario, because I still think there should be downward pressure. I'm watching the US dollar. If you see the US dollar break 104, there's going to be downward pressure on the market. Okay, great. So where could the SPY, let's say the SPY gets bought up at open, we go from 409 back to where we were after hours yesterday, which is around 412. I would look to get into puts. I see the market reject 412 and I say, okay, we're going from 412 back to that 407 range. Instead of going to 407 and bouncing higher in a bull case scenario, we're going to go higher and then fade the market all day in the bear case scenario. So again, I have two scenarios set up in my mind. We drop to 407.60 and then we go up closer to 414. Okay. Bear case scenario is we see the high that we saw after hours yesterday, which is right around 412. So we bounce up to 412, we fight 412, and then we fade all day, dropping a little lower. So that's kind of what I'm expecting today. Trade accordingly. Now, if the market is going to fade, then your calls are going to lose value as the day progresses. If the market is going to have a bull case scenario and you see us drop first to 407, find the support, volume increases, then you could say I'm going to hold or even increase my calls because we're going to ride up to 412, 413, 414. So understand both case scenarios. My thoughts on Meta. Okay, let's bring up my personal thoughts on Meta. It's crazy. There were some huge dark pool orders on Meta yesterday, which tells me that big company, big money, they're either taking positions shorting Meta or they think Meta is going to explode higher. Let's remember, Meta was $100, then it was $130, then $140, then it jumped from $140 to $180. Yes, I know institutions that got bought into Meta around $202 all the way up to $215. So would it surprise me if Meta spikes higher? No, but again, the market's been a little frothy for me. So if I had to take a position on Meta, I would have to say I'm going to play Meta to the downside. But again, I don't follow Meta like family. When I tell you my lesson to pick one stock or one ETF, follow it like family, you're going to know the tops, the bottoms, what kind of news and what the news does to the company or the stock. Does it push it up 3%, 5%, 8%? When you know these things, you know the entry levels to get involved and buy your calls or sell your puts or vice versa. Let's talk about Tesla. Somebody has a question about Tesla. So here's the thing about Tesla. I love to talk about forward PEs, right? I mentioned Apple's at 25. Meta's forward PE, right, at 20 right now. So let's take a look at Tesla. Here we go. Tesla's forward PE, which went under 40, okay, is now back at 49. Their forward PE, let's remember when I was talking about how inflated Tesla was, its forward PE was 72 back then. Went from 72, Tesla dropped significantly from the $300 level all the way to the 108 level. So its forward PE was 72. It went to 28. 28 makes sense. The fact that it's ripped higher in the past, 3 weeks of trading is ridiculous, from 108 closing in on 192, 194, closing in on $200 price target. Its forward PE is back at 49. So whereas Tesla was a good value, let's say when it was under 30, its forward PE, right? The fact that it's above 49 is just crazy. I thought it should be under 40 easily. If it was under 40, you'd see Tesla back in the 166 level. So me, I'm staying away from Tesla, but if I had to pick, same with Meta, same with Apple, same with Tesla, I would say there's more room to the downside. What's this question here? SWKS. What is that? Skyworks Solution, right? SWKS. Not a stock that I trade. Let me just see valuation here, 17 billion. Forward PE is 11, and it's a dividend stock. It could definitely be going through consolidation, meaning it had a run from under $100 all the way up to 114. If I was going to check it out, I guess I would look at Discord and I would see what the algos and the flows are telling me. So I do. Let's look at the net flow first, or let's look at net flow, Skyworks solution, SWKS. Is that it? Hopefully it's that. Okay, yeah, there's not enough. Here's your trading AI bot. Unfortunately, there's not enough activity. So you're talking about a stock probably that has low volume when it comes to options, which makes it more dangerous because when you're playing a low volume option, when you're buying the option, you're paying the ask because there's just no volume. You're paying the ask side. When it comes to selling that option, you're gonna sell it for the bid because there's not any volume. There aren't any open contracts. There aren't enough activity in that stock. So that's why I stay away from that. NVIDIA forward PE. Well, let's look at NVIDIA first, and then we'll compare it to Intel and AMD. So NVIDIA, first off, NVIDIA, what do you see? You see probably like 30 days of trading, 3 days outflow. So yeah, NVIDIA, best in class. We've spoken about best in class. NVIDIA forward PE, 64.67. Woo, it's a little high, especially for a chip stock. AMD, which has had some outflow, 27. So I guess 27 would make much more sense. If I was going to be an AMD or an NVIDIA and be bullish in either of those two cases, I would be more bullish AMD than I would be NVIDIA. But again, right now, chip sector, I'm bearish. I'm looking for Intel to go down another, 27.60, another $1.50. So another maybe 5 or 6% by the end of the week. Yes, Uber's got earnings coming out this week. If you haven't joined our Discord, you get updates from me a couple times a day. Romeo does live trading 2 to 3 days a week. So if you're available from 9:15 till about 10 a.m., shit, you could pay for your Discord in one trade and you could actually be profitable on the month. It's not about, this is a great lesson. It is not about being active in the trading market or community. It's about being correct. If you make one trade this week and make $400 on that one trade, you buy it on Monday or Tuesday, you hold till Thursday or Friday, and you're out $400, $500. Understand that's going to make a hell of a lot of difference when you do it week after week. If you're active and you're like, well, I don't do anything but day trade, so I must have to stay active, that's a losing proposition. The more active you are, the worse you're going to be. I did a lesson, soda and probability. That's what I called it. You could probably Google it on YouTube. But the point is, if I'm a 90% trader, I'm going to make one trade. I'm 90% of the time I'm going to win. 2 trades, now I'm at 81%. 3 trades, 72, 63, 54, 45, 36. So if I actually make 8 trades in a day, at some point during the day, I'm going to have a losing trade. I'm going to be incorrect. I'm going to struggle in that trade, and that can throw off your psyche. Okay, with that said, we're close enough to 9 a.m. Thank you for joining me. If you liked what I said, please thumbs up. Join me tomorrow. Tell your friends. Share the link. Follow me over to Discord. I've got the video dropping. I'm going to speak about 3 specific plays that I'm looking for today. Hopefully, Romeo is live streaming. I wasn't sure if he was doing it yesterday. He did it yesterday. If you're unsure about stuff, please use the flow and algo room or use the information in the trader chat. Tell people, hey, I'm feeling bullish about this stock. What do you guys think? What would a good entry be? I'm looking to short this company. What should I look to when I enter my puts? Because you're not going to enter Apple puts at 151 and change. You want to enter them at 153.72, 153.66. Again, those are entries for me. Just jumping into an Apple put, that's not real strategy. That's being FOMO. That's fear of missing out. That's having high anxiety. It's better to be safe and correct than enter a trade and be down 20%. Okay, lots of events on Discord. That is correct. Love you, Edie. Talk to you guys later. Heading over there now. Please join me.